in Kyiv, March 1990. Sasha Bondarenko, 7 years old, dreams of the future for 7 nights in a row. The collapse of the USSR, wars, an actor president. The war of the year 2022. Parents note down every word. 35 years later, everything comes true with frightening precision. The last prophecy is dated 2026. Kyiv, March 1990. The ordinary Bondarenko family lives in a Khrushchevka in the Podil district. Anatoly, 35 years old, an engineer at the arsenal plant. Svetlana, 30 years old, a nurse. Grandmother Maria, 63 years old, an old believer. Son, Sasha, 7 years old, a first-grade student at school 47. An ordinary, cheerful, curious boy, a mediocre student. He has friends, plays football in the courtyard. But since he was 3 years old, his parents noticed a strangeness. Sometimes, Sasha would recount that he saw events in a dream that later came true. The first time, at 3 years old, he woke up in the morning and told his grandmother, "Grandma Maria, I dreamed that you fell on the street and your leg hurts." The grandmother laughed, but a week later, she slipped on ice and broke her femoral neck. She spent a month in the hospital. The parents thought, coincidence? Children often see strange dreams and something eventually hits the mark. But the cases continued. At 5 years old, Sasha told the neighbor, Aunt Gully, "I dreamed you have red fire in the apartment." 2 days later, a short circuit occurred at her place, a fire, and the apartment burned down. At 6 years old, he predicted that the teacher at the kindergarten would get sick. 3 days later, she fell ill with pneumonia. Grandmother Maria, an old believer, understood that the grandson has the gift of foresight. She would tell her daughter, Svetlana, "The child sees the future from God. The dreams must be noted down." Svetlana, a medical worker, did not believe in mysticism, but when the coincidences became numerous, she agreed. The grandmother took a thick notebook to write down Sasha's dreams and verify if they come true. By March 1990, 37 entries had been gathered. 23 came true exactly, 8 partially, 6 did not come true, an accuracy of 70%. Anatoly, the skeptical engineer, explained it through coincidences and the theory of probability, telling his wife, "The child is an observer, notices details, draws conclusions unconsciously, then they appear in dreams." But deep down he doubted. It was too concrete. The family decided to keep silent, not to tell anyone, otherwise they would laugh at him, call him crazy, send him to a special school. Let him grow up as an ordinary boy and let the gift remain hidden. Sasha himself did not give it importance. He simply told his folks interesting dreams. Sometimes he said, "It's not just a dream, it's as if it were true. I see very clearly." The parents nodded, took notes, waited for the test of time. March 5th, 1990, Monday evening. Sasha came from school, had lunch, did his homework, played with toys. Dinner at 7 o'clock, then the cartoon Nu Pogodi. They went to bed at 9 o'clock. At night, around 3 o'clock, Svetlana woke up because of a sound. She heard Sasha mumbling something in the child's room. She got up, entered, turned on the nightlight. The boy was sleeping but tossing and turning, his lips forming unclear words. She approached, listened. She made out. "The red flag falls, a new one rises. Brothers separate." Strange, thought the mother, but did not wake him. Let him sleep, maybe he had a nightmare. On the morning of March 6th, Sasha woke up brisk and cheerful. He had breakfast, got ready for school. His mother asked him, "Son, did you dream anything last night? You were talking in your sleep." Sasha thought and replied, "Yes, I had a strange dream, very vivid like real life. I saw the distant future, many, many events." Svetlana became attentive. "Tell me what you saw." Sasha began to recount, slowly remembering the details. The dream had been unusually clear. He remembered it all. He recounted. He saw how the red flag with the hammer and sickle, which hangs everywhere, is lowered forever. It will not rise again. In its place, they raise another one, tricolor, white, blue, red. He saw a man, the head of the country, with a spot on his forehead. He leaves, another one comes, a new one. That one drinks a lot, destroys everything. Svetlana listened and wrote in the grandmother's notebook. She thought, "What a rich fantasy. How does he know about flags?" Sasha continued. "I saw hard years when people starve, stand in lines for bread. Stores are empty. Factories close, workers remain without work. Bandits walk the streets. It is scary. I saw a war in the south, in the mountains, where young soldiers fight. Many die." He described detailed images, as if he were watching a documentary film, not a dream. The mother asked, "When will this be?" Sasha shrugged. "Soon, in a year or two it will start, then it will last many years." Svetlana thought, "What nonsense," but she wrote it down. She decided to show it to the grandmother. After school, Grandmother Maria read the notes and exclaimed, "This is a prophecy about the collapse of the Union, about troubled times. The red flag of the USSR, the tricolor of pre-revolutionary Russia. The man with the spot is Gorbachev. Birthmark on the forehead. The drunkard is Yeltsin, probably." Svetlana was skeptical. "Mother, what are you saying? The Union is strong, it's not going anywhere." "Gorbachev is making reforms. Perestroika." Maria shook her head. "The grandson sees, time will show the truth." In the evening, Anatoly returned from work. His wife told him. He laughed. The kid watched the news about Perestroika, Glasnost. That's why he dreamed. But the grandmother insisted. "We must continue noting. The gift manifests more strongly." The following night, March 7th, Sasha spoke again in his sleep. The parents did not sleep. They stood guard, listened, took notes. In the morning, they questioned him. He recounted a new dream about the future, even more detailed. Thus, for 7 nights in a row, from March 5th to March 12th, Sasha had vivid prophetic dreams about the future of the country, the world, and wars. He recounted. The relatives took notes. A whole notebook of prophecies was gathered. 7 mornings in a row, Sasha told his parents dreams. Unusually vivid, memorable, full of details. Grandmother Maria noted every word in the notebook. The second morning, March 7th, Sasha recounted. He dreamed about a man who will come after the drunkard, a smart, serious one from a northern city named Petersburg. He is from the Secret Service organs, young, not too tall. He speaks quietly, but everyone listens to him. He will bring order, stop the disintegration, make the country strong. Again he described, he saw how that one calms the bandits, forces the oligarchs to obey. Ends the war in the south. Money enters the country. Oil becomes expensive. People receive salaries. Life becomes better. The grandmother noted, thought, interesting. We will verify. The third morning about Ukraine. He dreamed about our Kyiv. How many years later, people gather on Independence Square, put up tents, hold rallies, change power not through elections, but through an orange revolt. It is called so because orange flags are everywhere. He continued, I saw that Ukraine and Russia will start to quarrel. Before they were friends, then they will be enemies. Other countries intervene, incite from the west. The fourth morning, March 9th, a scary dream about Maidan he saw. Cold winter, the square in Kyiv full of people. Fire burns, there are barricades. They take down the president. He runs to Russia. He saw Crimea, our peninsula, how people vote there, want to return to Russia. And they return, raise the Russian flag. The parents looked at each other. Anatoly murmured, Fantastic! Crimea has been in the composition of Ukraine since the year 1954. Sasha continued, I saw the east, Donbass, how there too is a revolt. People do not want to be under the new power from Kiev, they create their own republics. Shootings begin, a small war. The fifth morning, March 10th, he dreamed about the actor-president, about a strange man who makes people laugh on TV. Actor-comedian, he becomes the president of Ukraine. Amazing, isn't it? An actor without political experience. But the people choose him because they are tired of ordinary politicians, he described. He is often dressed in green, a green military t-shirt. He wants to make peace but does not succeed. Others do not let him. Grandmother Maria noted, underlined, actor in green. To remember. The sixth morning, March 11th. The dream about the Great War, the scariest one. He saw a real big war, not small skirmishes, but serious. When Russia enters Ukraine, soldiers, much equipment. They say they defend Russian people in the east. It starts in winter, in February. It is cold. They advance quickly. Think it will end soon. But Western countries help Ukraine, give weapons, much money. The war drags on. Sasha recounted with sadness. He saw destroyed cities. People hide in basements, children cry, old people suffer, brothers kill brothers, Ukrainians and Russians. A single people, but they fight. He continued. He saw how the war spreads. Years pass. Everyone is tired, both some and others. Many dead, wounded, millions of refugees. Ukraine loses people, loses territories, the economy collapses. The parents listened in silence. It became heavy for them. Svetlana sighed. Is it true? Will something like this happen? The 7th morning, March 12th. The last, the longest dream. About choice and the future. He dreamed that many years later, exactly 35 years from today, there will be a special year. The year of the snake. It is called autumn. In the autumn of that year, the actor president will be proposed an important choice. Sasha was serious. He will be told, you can stop the war, cease the bloodshed, if you accept the conditions. The eastern lands, where Russians live, give them to Russia, which controls them already, in fact. Instead, you receive peace, recognized borders, help with reconstruction, he explained. But the Western countries which helped Ukraine will say, no, continue to fight. We give you even more weapons, money, you will take everything back. And the president must choose to listen to the West or to listen to his tired people. An important message. In the dream, a voice told me, convey to the actor president, when the time comes. Choose wisdom, save the people, not political pride. The West uses you, not your victory is what they need, but the weakening of Russia through your blood. If you refuse peace, the country will disappear, people will scatter. If you accept, the people will survive, will recover. Sasha finished the story. The parents stood shocked. 7 days of amazing dreams. March 12th evening. The family gathered in the kitchen to discuss what to do with Sasha's dreams. On the table is the thick, written notebook. 50 pages of prophecies in 7 days. Anatoly, engineer, rationalist, flips through, shakes his head. Pure fantasy. The child watched the news and read movies. That's why he dreamed. The collapse of the USSR, Crimea to Russia, war between Ukraine and Russia. Nonsense. Svetlana, nurse, doubts. But Tolea, remember, before he predicted mother's fracture, the neighbor's fire. It came true, after all. Anatoly shrugs. Random coincidences. There were concrete, close events. But here about 30 years ahead. Who will check? Grandmother Maria says strictly, time will check, grandson. He does not fantasize, but sees the truth. Remember, he said the red flag will be lowered in 20 months. That means December 91. Let's see, will it come true or not? Svetlana. Okay, we wait for December. If the union falls apart, it means the gift is real. We must listen further. They discuss what to do with the notes. Anatoly proposes, let's hide them, not show anyone, otherwise they will think we are a family of madmen. They will put Sasha in an asylum. Maria agrees. We must be silent, but keep the notebook. Check, note what comes true. When he grows up, he will decide himself whether to use the information or not. Svetlana worries. And what if he feels bad from this? Heavy dreams? Maybe show him to a doctor? Maria shakes her head. Doctors will not understand. They will stuff him with pills. The gift will extinguish. Let him develop naturally. We will only take notes. They decided to keep the notebook in secret. Explain to Sasha that his dreams are special, but to share them only with the family. Not to tell anyone at school, friends. They will laugh. Wait for the test of time. Sasha agreed quietly. Okay, I won't tell. Only if I have more dreams, I tell you. After March 12th, the prophetic dreams ceased. Sasha slept ordinarily, without revelations. The parents breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe it's over, but Grandmother Maria knew. He gave what he had to give. Now we wait for the fulfillment. Months passed. Ordinary life. Sasha studied, played, grew. The parents worked, the grandmother took care of the house, the notebook stayed in the closet. Sometimes Maria took it out, reread, shook her head, waited. August 1991. The GKCHP putsch. Tanks in Moscow. Yeltsin gives a speech from a tank. The putsch fails. Maria shows the notebook. Look, Sasha spoke of power through a putsch with tanks. Anatoly admits, partial coincidence. December 1991, the 8th, Belovezhskaya Pushcha. Yeltsin, Kravchuk, Shushkevich signed the agreement about the dissolution of the USSR. December 25th, Gorbachev resigns. The red flag is lowered from the Kremlin. The Russian tricolor rises. The Bondarenko family watches the TV in shock. Maria takes out the notebook, reads. Sasha said, "They will lower the red flag 20 months from March 90. That is December 91. Exactly. Anatoly is pale. Incredible coincidence. Svetlana cries. It means the rest will also come true. Maria nods. I fear so. We must prepare. The years 92, 93, 94 are hard years. Exactly as Sasha predicted. Hyperinflation, the ruble collapses, salaries are not paid. Queues, ration cards, deficit, empty stores, factories close, unemployment, bandits, racketeering, mafia protection, settling of scores on the streets. October 1993. Tanks shoot at the White House, as Sasha said. The Bondarenko family checks the notebook, notes with red. It came true one after another. Anatoly is no longer skeptical. He is shaken. How could a 7-year-old child know? Maria. He didn't know, but saw through a dream. The channel opened. The information flowed. 94. The First Chechen War begins. Soldiers die. Grozny is stormed, is in the prophecy. Svetlana cries loudly. Everything comes true. It means about Ukraine, about the war, everything too. Sasha is already a teenager, 11 years old, remembers vaguely. Those dreams, he says. I don't know, Mum. It was how it was. The ability of foresight after March 12, 90 did not return. He saw no more prophetic dreams, an ordinary boy, but what he recounted then continued to come true, year after year. August 1999. Yeltsin appoints Vladimir Putin Prime Minister, an unknown official from Petersburg, former KGB. December 31st. Yeltsin announces his resignation, hands over power to Putin as acting president. The Bondarenko family at the TV. Grandmother Maria grabs the notebook, flips through, finds. Here, listen to what Sasha said. A man will come from the northern city, Petersburg, from the Secret Service organs, young, not too tall, speaks quietly. He will bring order, make the country strong. Anatoly looks at the screen. Putin speaks. Indeed, he is not tall and is skinny, speaks not too loudly, clearly tough gaze. My God, exact description. Svetlana. Sasha, do you remember you saw him in a dream? Sasha, 16 years old, nods. Vaguely, but I remember. We were talking about a leader who will raise Russia. Maria. It means further, according to the prophecy, he will lead for 25 years, maybe more. The years 2000 confirm. Putin strengthens power, calms the oligarchs. Khodorkovsky imprisons Berezovsky, chases away Gusinsky. Ends the Chechen War, destroys terrorists. Order in the Caucasus. Economy grows. Oil gets expensive. The budget is surplus. Salaries, pensions grow. Life improves. Anatoly admits, Sasha predicted exactly. The year 2004. Ukraine. Orange Revolution. Maidan. Tents. Rallies. Yushchenko against Yanukovych. Elections are revised. The family checks the notebook again. Sasha said that in 14 years there will be an orange revolt in the square in Kyiv. March 90 plus 14. Exactly. Svetlana is terrified. Everything comes true. Further about Crimea, Maidan, war. Maria is grim. I fear so. Sasha, 21 years old, student at the Polytechnic Institute in Kyiv, is calm. What will be, will be. We don't change anything. The family lives with the burden of knowing a scary future, waits for the rest to be fulfilled. Sasha no longer manifests abilities. Lives ordinarily, studies, works, but those 7 days in March 90 remained in the family memory as a miracle and a curse. 2014, February, Maidan in Kiev. Harsh, bloody. Yanukovych flees to Russia. Power is taken by radicals. March, Crimea, referendum. Reunification with Russia, exactly as Sasha saw. April, Donbass, revolt. DPR and LPR are proclaimed. Kiev sends troops. War begins. The Bondarenko family is shaken. Anatoly. 24 years have passed since Sasha's prophecy. March 90. He said, "In 24 years, the second revolt, Crimea will return, the East will rise." Svetlana cries, "Our Kiev, our Ukraine, everything is collapsing." Maria consoles her. It was written, so it happened. Sasha, 31 years old, programmer, married, child growing, tells his parents, "I remember those dreams. They were unusually vivid, real, like real life. I saw everything. Then I didn't understand what it meant. Now I see it comes true." His wife, Oksana, learns the story and is shocked. "Show me the notebook." She reads the prophecy, is stunned. It must be kept. It is unique. The family decides to keep the notebook, transmit it to generations. Maybe it will be useful. 2019 April. Zelensky wins the presidential elections in Ukraine. Actor-comedian from the series Servant of the People. The family sees the news. Maria holds her heart. Sasha predicted, "An actor who makes people laugh will become president." Sasha, 36 years old, looks at the screen. Zelensky in a green t-shirt gives a speech. "Exactly, I saw him in a dream. The actor in green." Anatoly. "It means further, according to the prophecy, a big war will start. 2022, February. Russia begins the special military operation in Ukraine. Troops enter, battles begin, the family is terrified. 32 years from March 90, Sasha said, "The war will start." Svetlana. "Everything came true. The last prophecy about the year 2025 remained. The actor's choice." Maria. 85 years old, weakened, lived to see it. Zelensky's message must be transmitted. Anatoly. "How? Who will listen to us?" Sasha. "We will try when the time comes." February 2014. The Maidan in Kiev reaches its apogee. Barricades burn, snipers shoot, dozens of dead. On February 22nd, Yanukovych flees from Kiev, first to Kharkiv, then to Russia. Power is taken by radicals. The Bondarenko family at the TV watches the news, terrified. Svetlana cries, "Our Kiev! What is happening?" Anatoly takes out the notebook, finds the entry. Sasha said, "In 24 years' bloody revolt, the president will be overthrown. He will flee to Russia, become a fugitive. March 90 plus 24. That is February 2014. Exact coincidence." Maria crosses herself. "Lord, everything comes true." Further he said about Crimea. March, news comes from Crimea. Polite people in green without insignia appeared. They blocked Ukrainian military units. They occupied the parliament. On March 16th, referendum. Crimeans vote for reunification with Russia. 96% for. On March 18th, Putin signs the treaty. Crimea returns to the composition of Russia. The family is shaken. Anatoly reads from the notebook. Crimea, Peninsula, inhabitants will hold a referendum, will vote, will return to Russia, home. Putin will receive them, will defend them, will introduce troops, without blood. It came true word for word. Svetlana cries. "We used to rest in Crimea, in Yalta. Now it's Russia. How fast?" Sasha, 31 years old, programmer, married. The child grows, says quietly, "I remember that dream. It was very vivid. I saw the Russian flag over Sevastopol. The joy of the people. They really wanted to go to Russia." Wife Oksana hears the full story for the first time, is shocked. "Show the notebook." Sasha brings an old, yellowed, lined notebook, 90 sheets written in child's handwriting. Oksana reads for an hour in silence, and then says with a trembling voice, "It's incredible. Everything written here came true 1-to-1. Dates, events, people. Do you understand that you had a true gift of foresight?" Sasha nods. "I understand, but it came and went. Those 7 days in March 90, I never saw such dreams again." April 2014. Donbass, revolt. In Donetsk and Lugansk, they occupy administrative buildings, proclaim the Popular Republic's DPR, LPR, do not recognize the new power from Kyiv. Kyiv announces the anti-terrorist operation, sends troops, tanks, battles begin. The family checks the notebook again. Maria reads aloud. The East, Donbass will rise, will not want under the new power, will create their own republics. Kyiv will send the army. The war will start again, exactly. Anatoly is shaken. How could a 7-year-old child in the year 90 know geographical names Donetsk, Lugansk? Political events 24 years later? Maria explains. He didn't know himself. But the channel opened. The information came from the future or from God, call it what you want. Sasha remembers, in the dream I saw the map of Ukraine, the eastern part separates. People with flags protest, speak Russian, do not want to submit to Kyiv, then military actions, destruction. Oksana. This notebook must be kept. It is a historic document, unique. The family decides to hide the notebook in the safe. Not to show it to anyone for now, the time has not come, but to keep it by all means. The war in Donbass drags on. Summer, autumn, winter of the year 2014. Battles at Ilovaisk, Debaltsevo, Donetsk airport, destruction, thousands of victims. The Minsk agreements are signed, but not respected. Shootings continue. For 8 years the conflict smolders. The Bondarenko family watches the news. Checks with Sasha's prophecy. Everything coincides. Small, smoldering war. It will last 8 years, a long time. Civilians will die, will suffer. Anatoly notes every year in the notebook with a red marker. Came true. Next to the prophecies, by the year 2020, 25 out of 30 entries are already noted. Accuracy, 83%. Remain unchecked those about the actor-president, about the Great War in 2022, about the choice of the snake year, 2025, about the consequences in 2026. Svetlana. I am afraid to check further. If the rest comes true, it is a nightmare. Maria, old, 80 years old, is losing weight, says, I will probably not live to the end, but you transmit to the grandchildren this important knowledge. 2019 March-April, presidential elections in Ukraine. First round, second round, Vladimir Zelensky wins. Actor, comedian from the series Servant of the People. Receives 73% of the votes. Sensation. The family at the TV watches the inauguration. Zelensky gives a speech in a black suit, young, energetic, promises changes to stop the war. Maria holds her heart. Here he is. The actor who made people laugh became president, exactly as Sasha predicted. Anatoly reads, Actor, comedian from the simple people without political experience, will become president after many years. The people will choose him because they are tired of ordinary politicians. Came true. Sasha, 36 years old, looks closely at the screen. I saw him in a dream. Even his face, his voice I remembered. He also said that he is often dressed in green. A few months later, when there is aggravation on the front, Zelensky starts appearing in a green military t-shirt. This becomes his distinctive style. The family sighs. The actor in green, as in the prophecy. Oksana. 2 prophecies remained, the Great War and the choice of 2025. It is scary that they too will come true. Winter 2021, 2022. Tension grows. Russia masses troops at Ukraine's borders, conducts exercises. The West warns about a possible invasion. Ukrainian authorities calm down. There will be no panic. The Bondarenko family is nervous. Anatoly calculates March 90 plus 32 years, that is March 2022. Sasha said, in 32 years the big war will start. Svetlana prays, maybe it won't come true, maybe something changed. Sasha is grim. All the rest came true. Why wouldn't this come true? The night of February 23rd to 24th. Everyone sleeps. At 4 o'clock in the morning, on the 24th, Putin announces the beginning of the special military operation in Ukraine. Goal: protection of Donbass, denazification, demilitarization. Troops enter from several directions. In the morning, people wake up because of the sound of explosions, air raid sirens in Kyiv and other cities. Panic. People in shelters, stores are stormed, queues at gas stations, traffic jams at exits. The Bondarenko family is in a state of shock. Svetlana cries loudly. Anatoly is pale, takes out the notebook. His hands tremble. February 2022, over 32 years from March 90, Sasha said, "The big war will start. Russia will enter to defend its Russians." It came true exactly. Maria, 89 years old, lies sick. Weak heart. Hears the news on the radio, cries, lived to see it. She saw everything her grandson predicted. It was fulfilled. Lord have mercy. Sasha hugs his wife and children. "We must evacuate to western Ukraine or to Poland. It is dangerous here." Oksana. "Your prophecy said what will be next." Sasha remembers. "The war will drag on, will not end quickly. The West will give weapons, much money, they will destroy cities. People will die, millions of refugees. They decide to stay in Kyiv as long as possible. Work, home, relatives are here. But they are ready to leave if it becomes critical. First days of war, chaos, panic, then they get used to it. Air alarms become a commonplace. Life continues in a new reality of war. Spring, summer of the year 2022. Battles are fought. Siege of Mariupol, Azovstal. Heroic defense. The city is destroyed. Bucha. Irpin is liberated. Civilian victims are found. Accusations of war crimes. The West delivers Javelin, Stinger, HIMARS weapons, billions of dollars aid. The family watches the news. Anatoly checks with the notebook. Sasha said, "The West will arm Ukraine, give much money, the war will drag on for years, it comes true." September, partial mobilization in Russia. 300,000 are called. Tension grows. Ukraine conducts counteroffensive, liberates Kharkiv region. Part of Kherson, Russian troops withdraw. Winter 2022-2023. Missile strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, interruption of power, water, heat. People freeze in houses. Sasha remembers. In the prophecy, there were no such details, but the general picture, war, prolonged, destruction, suffering, coincides. Oksana. What follows according to the prophecy, when will it end, Sasha? There was no concrete date of the end, but there was about the choice facing Zelensky in 2025. The year 2023. The war continues. Positional Bakhmut-Artyomovsk, siege for months, meat grinder, huge victims. City, ruins. Ukrainian counteroffensive in summer does not achieve goals. The front line almost does not change. The year 2024. Avdiivka falls. Russian troops advance slowly. The West continues aid, but fatigue grows. Discussions about negotiations, freezing the conflict. Sasha, 41 years old, remembers the last prophecy, the most important one. It said that in the autumn of the snake year, the actor in green will be proposed a choice. Peace for territories or continuation of the war. The year 2025. The wood snake. Soon it is autumn. The family discusses what to do. Oksana proposes, "We must try to transmit the message to Zelensky. Maybe he will listen, save thousands of lives." Anatoly is skeptical. "Who will listen to us, ordinary people?" Sasha. Grandmother Maria, before death in 2023, left as a dying wish to transmit the message. She said it is the last chance. "We will try through journalists, maybe through publicity it will arrive." July 2025, the war goes for the 4th year. Everyone is tired. The front has frozen. Huge losses. Ukraine's economy is destroyed. The West continues aid, but volumes decrease. Donor fatigue, political debates. Sasha Bondarenko, 42 years old, programmer. Works remotely for a Western company, lives in Kyiv. Wife Oksana, 38 years old. Teenage children, 14 and 12 years old. Takes out from the safe Grandmother Maria's notebook, yellowed. It has been kept for 35 years. Rereads. Finds the last prophecy, noted on March 12th, year 90. A long and detailed address to the actor in green about the choice in the autumn of the snake year. Understands, the time has come. In 3 months it is autumn, must act. Discusses with his wife. Oksana, Do you remember grandmother's wish to transmit the message to Zelensky when the year 2025 comes? Oksana nods. I remember. But how do we, simple people, reach the president? Sasha. Through publicity, through mass media. Maybe journalists will be interested in the story, will publish it. It will reach the addressee. Sasha studies independent Ukrainian journalists, finds Anna Sergeeva, 35 years old. Works at the online publication Ukrainska Pravda. Writes investigations about corruption, social problems, contacts via email, asks for a meeting, says he has unique material. Anna accepts, they meet in a cafe in Podil. Sasha brings the notebook, tells the whole history. Childhood, March 90, 7 nights, prophetic dreams, parents' notes, time verification, fulfilled predictions. Anna listens skeptically, smiles. Do you understand how many people come with such stories about predictions? Sasha, calm. I understand, but please verify the notebook through expertise, date the paper, ink, handwriting. Here are the notes, look. About the collapse of the USSR, 91 came true. About Putin, 99 came true. About the Orange Revolution, 2004. About Maidan Crimea, 2014. About Zelensky, 19. About war, 2022, everything exact. He spreads the pages, shows dates, events, coincidences. Anna studies carefully for an hour in silence and then says seriously, if this is the original and not a fake, then it is indeed unique. Anna takes the notebook with Sasha's permission, takes it to the forensic laboratory to a known expert, asks to do the analysis of paper, ink, dating. 1 week, waits for results. Expert Kovalenko Igor Petrovich. 50 years old, experienced 25 years, studies the notebook under a microscope. Spectral analysis, radiocarbon method. Gives the written conclusion. Paper production USSR, end of the 80s. Type, school notebook, general ballpoint pen ink, blue. Composition characteristic for the Soviet period. Degradation corresponds to 35 years. Child's handwriting, 7-10 years. Uneven pressure. Childish spelling mistakes. Traces of modern falsification, artificial aging were not discovered. Conclusion. The original dates from the year 1992. Anna receives the conclusion. She is shaken, calls Sasha. The expertise confirmed. The notebook is authentic. I will write the material. It is a sensation. Sasha. The main thing is to transmit the message. The last one about Zelensky's choice, that is the goal. Anna promises. I will put emphasis on this. August 2025. Anna Sergeeva publishes a big article in Ukrainska Pravda. Title: The programmer from Kyiv saw prophetic dreams in childhood, predicted the SMO and left a message to President Zelensky. Subtitle: Experts confirmed the authenticity of the 35-year-old notebook with amazingly exact predictions. The article is detailed, 5,000 words with photos of the notebook pages, scans of the expert's conclusion, the interview of Sasha and his wife, stories of the late parents, noted previously, description of each fulfilled prophecy with dates, comparisons with real events, coincidences. The end of the article is dedicated to the last prophecy. Anna publishes the full text of the message to the actor in green about the choice in the autumn of the snake year. Peace or continuation of war. Consequences of each decision. The appeal to choose wisdom, to save the people. The article appears in the morning, on August 15th. By evening 1 million views, by night 2 million, by the next day 5 million. Viral wave, reposts, comments, discussions. Anna Sergeeva's article blows up the Ukrainian internet. Comments, thousands. Opinions split radically. 3 camps formed. The first camp, those who believe. Mysticism, but facts are a stubborn thing. Incredible coincidences. The notebook is authentic. They verified it means one must listen. The people are tired of war for 3 years. Blood flows. Maybe indeed it is time to stop, write mothers who lost their sons, wives without husbands, invalids, soldiers from the front full of wounds. Enough fighting, let us live. We want peace. The second camp, the skeptics, random coincidences. Post factum, you can always fit the prophecy to the events. They could have faked the notebook. Experts make mistakes. They are bought. The boy could have heard adults' discussions about politics, fantasized, write scientists, skeptics, rationalists. There is no scientific explanation for predicting the future. This contradicts the physics of causality. The third camp, the radicals, the patriots. Russian propaganda, FSB special operation, uses mysticism to undermine the will to resist. The message urges surrender, ceding territories, betraying fallen heroes. This is treason, write the nationalists, the volunteers. The author to trial for complicity with the aggressor, spreading defeatist moods. Sasha Bondarenko receives in 3 days thousands of messages on social networks. Half support, gratitude, half threats, insults. Traitor, Kremlin agent, received money, sold out. Oksana worries. Maybe it was dangerous to publish? They will start persecuting us. Sasha is calm. Grandmother left it as a dying wish to pass on the message. I fulfilled it. From here on, it doesn't depend on me. Children at school, colleagues ask, your father, the one who saw the future, is it true? Teenagers divide. Some admire, others mock. Harassment begins. Oksana complains to the principal. She promises to resolve it. Ukrainian TV channels pick up the topic, invite Sasha for an interview. He accepts, appears live on a few shows, tells the story, shows the notebook, answers questions. The presenters vary, some compassionate, others aggressive, accusing. Do you understand that your message undermines the defense capability? Sasha answers, I am not campaigning for anything. I just transmit the information I received in childhood. Let people think for themselves. The Western press pays attention. CNN publishes a piece. Ukrainian man claims childhood visions predicted war, calls for peace deal. But adds, experts warn of possible Russian disinformation using mysticism. The BBC writes cautiously as well. The Russian press picks it up with joy. The Ukrainian prophet urges Zelensky to accept peace, to recognize reality. They use it as propaganda. Sasha is dissatisfied. I don't want to be the instrument of anyone's propaganda. I just wanted to pass on the message. The office of the President of Ukraine is silent. 3 weeks. Then a short statement by the press secretary. The President is aware of the publication. Ukraine's position remains unchanged. Full restoration of territorial integrity within the borders of the year 91. No concessions to the aggressor, peace only on our terms. Journalists ask, but what about the prophecy regarding the choice? The press secretary replies, the President makes decisions based on the interests of the state and not on mystical messages. Sasha is disappointed, but not surprised. Politicians rarely listen to voices that do not fit into their plans. The SBU, the Security Service of Ukraine, calls Sasha for interrogation. 1 week after publication, the summons comes to present himself at the Counterintelligence Department. Sasha comes with a lawyer. They interrogate him for 3 hours. The SBU officer, Major Kovalchuk, 40 years old. Tough. Citizen Bondarenko, explain the origin of the notebook. Sasha tells the whole history, March of the year 90. Grandmother wrote down the childhood dreams, kept them, and passed them on. The major does not believe. A convenient legend, but in reality, they received an order from Russia to undermine morale. Sasha denies. I have no connection to Russia. I was born in Kyiv, lived here all my life, worked as a programmer for Western companies. Check. They check, and indeed he is clean. No suspicious contacts. He is proposed to take the lie detector test. Sasha accepts, passes it, answers questions. If he received money from foreign secret services, if he contacted Russian agents, if the goal of the publication is undermining defense capability. To all, he answers, no. The detector shows he is telling the truth. Major Kovalchuk says he is disappointed. He lets him go with a warning. Cease public activity on this topic, otherwise we will open a criminal file for state treason. Complicity. Sasha nods. I wasn't planning to continue either. I did what was needed. End of September, beginning of October 2025. International news agencies announce backstage negotiations for a ceasefire in Ukraine have begun through intermediaries. A few countries participate: Turkey, China, the Vatican, India. The details are classified, but sources say the conditions for freezing the conflict are being discussed. Sasha reads the news. Emotion overcomes him, and he remembers the prophecy. It said that in the autumn of the snake, they would propose peace, exactly as predicted. He calls Oksana at work. It has started. The negotiations are taking place, just as I saw in the dream 35 years ago. Oksana worries. What will follow according to the prophecy? Sasha reminds her. They will propose to Zelensky a choice, peace in exchange for eastern territories, which Russia controls, or continuation of the war until victory, total recovery of everything that was lost. On his decision depends the fate of the country, of our people. Information leaks. Details about conditions appear. Turkish diplomats suggest to journalists in hallways Russia is ready to discuss cessation of hostilities seriously. If Ukraine recognizes the new de facto realities on the ground. Kyiv denies officially and sharply, we are not conducting any negotiations about territories. The position is unchanged. Restoration of borders from the year 91. But backstage, diplomats meet secretly in neutral countries, exchange proposals, documents, feel out a possible ground for compromise. On October 7, Turkish President Erdogan publicly declares in a press conference in Ankara, we are actively working on a plan for the peaceful settlement of the Ukrainian conflict. Both sides show a certain interest. The details are complex. They are being worked on. The world press picks up the sensation. A breakthrough in negotiations is possible. Zelensky answers cautiously and evasively to journalists' questions in Kyiv. Ukraine has always been for a just peace, but only with security guarantees and real restoration of territorial sovereignty. He does not deny the fact of negotiations, but neither does he confirm concrete details, leaving room for maneuver. Western allies are nervous. The USA, through Secretary of State Blinken, sends a tough message. We support Ukraine's desire for a just peace, but we are categorically against any territorial concessions that encourage aggression and create a dangerous precedent. Europe is divided internally. Germany, France, Italy are tired of war, of expenses for aid, and want a settlement as fast as possible. They are ready for reasonable compromises. Poland, the Baltic states, and Great Britain are tough against any concessions made to Russia. They demand continued support for Ukraine until total victory. Inside Ukrainian society, the rift deepens. Independent sociological polls show that 62% are for peace negotiations, even if temporary territorial compromises are needed. 28% are categorically against. They consider any concession a betrayal of fallen heroes. 10% are undecided, hesitating. On October 15, a serious information leak occurs. An anonymous source, close to the Turkish delegation, passes a document of 20 pages to trusted journalists. The draft of the Peace Framework Agreement, 10 main points, described in detail. Content of the document, Point 1, immediate and total ceasefire on the line of factual control existing at the moment of signing. Point 2, Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson regions, partially controlled by Russia, remain under its de facto administration. Final status is determined by referendums of the population in 5 years, under international UN, OSCE supervision. Point 3, Ukraine receives permanent neutral state status, following the model of Austria or Switzerland. Does not enter NATO or military blocs, but keeps the right to economic integration into the European Union. Point 4, international security guarantees for Ukraine from guarantor countries. The list includes Russia, USA, China, Turkey, Germany, France. Obligations are mutual. Point 5, phased lifting of Western sanctions against Russia as the agreement is fulfilled and verified. Point 6, total exchange of prisoners of war, all those detained. Return of the bodies of the deceased for a dignified burial. Point 7, the issue of compensation for war destruction is discussed by a separate commission with the participation of international donors. Point 8, creation of an international commission for investigating possible war crimes committed by both sides. Fair justice. Point 9, gradual restoration of economic ties, trade relations, transit, gas, in a mutually beneficial way. Point 10, complete implementation of the agreement, controlled for 12 months from the moment of signing. The document seems professionally composed, juridically worked, realistic, taking into account the interests of the parties. The publication of the draft agreement causes an incredible storm in Ukrainian society and political circles. Kyiv denies officially and urgently through the press service of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It is a fake document, a provocation, disinformation. No such draft exists officially. We have not discussed such conditions of capitulation. But multiple independent diplomatic sources confirm that the basis of negotiations is indeed approximately this. Western capitals are gripped by fever. Urgent consultations, emergency video conferences, phone calls between leaders. Zelensky, on October 20, urgently convenes an extended meeting of the National Security and Defense Council. Closed meeting, special regime, lasts 7 hours continuously. All key figures are present. Head of the President's Office, Yermak, Defense Minister Umarov, Head of MFA Kuleba, Army Commander Syrskyi, Head of GUR, Military Intelligence, Budanov, key advisors, experts. They discuss variants, possible consequences of every decision, forecasts. The opinions of participants divided cardinally. Yermak, pragmatic. He is cautious for exploring negotiation possibilities. The people are tired to death. 3 years of war. The economy is on the brink of collapse. A realistic exit must be sought. Military commanders like Syrskyi are categorically against. The army is still capable of fighting, strong. We can continue to fight. To give the lands without a fight would be the betrayal of the fallen. Kuleba, diplomat, is balanced. If conditions are indeed acceptable and include ironclad security guarantees, it can be considered, but extremely cautiously, with verification. Zelensky listens to all arguments, is silent most of the time, with a tense face, tired, drawn, understands that this is the hardest choice in his entire political career and life. To accept a peace agreement with territorial losses and become in the eyes of radical patriots a traitor of national interests, or to continue the bloody war of attrition, risking total military, economic, and social collapse of the state. The meeting ends late at night without a concrete final decision. We will continue the detailed study of all variants and consultation with Western strategic partners. Sasha Bondarenko, at home, watches the fragmented news about the meeting. He understands. The prophecy is coming true. Exactly. The choice is proposed to the actor in green right now. What he will decide, the following critical weeks will show. After the publication of the leak about the draft peace agreement, which authorities formally deny but cannot convincingly disprove, numerous supporters of rapid negotiations activate in Ukrainian society. A heterogeneous mass social movement is created, Voice of the People for Peace and Life. The initiators are very different. Mothers of soldiers killed at the front, wives who lost their husbands, widows, young veterans returned wounded, war invalids with prostheses, on crutches, simple, exhausted citizens. They organize a large rally in the center of Kyiv, on Mikhailivska Square, on October 20. Despite authorities' obstacles, about 5,000 people of different ages and social statuses gather. Handmade placards. Enough blood, give us back peace. 3 years of war, let us live. Listen to the tired people, not the politicians. Bring our sons, husbands, brothers home alive. On the improvised stage, simple people speak. Mothers cry at the microphone. My only son, Andrei, died near Bakhmut. He was 22 years old. Why? What for this death? Stop the slaughter. Return the others before it is too late. Veterans on crutches, without hands, without legs, come out and show their infirmities. We fought honestly for 3 terrible years. We saw the death of comrades, the horror of war. We say enough, we must stop. Seek a dignified peace. The police are present massively, but do not disperse the rally, which is officially authorized and peaceful. However, they film all participants with numerous cameras, fixing faces for databases. In the evening, when the rally ends, radicals from volunteer battalions scatter. They come in groups on motorcycles, jeeps, with bats, clubs, chains. They start beating isolated participants returning home. Screams, beatings, blood. The police, strangely, do not intervene, stand actively aside and observe. Tens of victims present themselves at the hospital. The pro-government press reports the incident minimally. The Voice of the People movement, despite intimidation, continues activity. They launch an online petition on the official website of the president's office. The electronic platform has a clear demand: organization of a national consultative referendum about the possibility of peace negotiations with territorial compromises. Let the people decide their fate themselves. In 10 days, they gather the incredible sum of 320,000 verified electronic signatures. The threshold for mandatory examination by the president, according to the law of 250,000, is significantly exceeded, but the president's office completely ignores the petition, does not answer for 1 month, although formally, according to current legislation, they are obliged to examine and give a motivated public answer. Activists, indignant, organize a new rally, more massive, on November 1 on the main street Khreshchatyk. Already about 12,000 people come, blocking transport circulation, demanding the meeting of a delegation with the president, a personal dialogue. The police, in full force, surround with cordons, do not let the crowd toward the president's office. On bank of a street, guarded, clashes, shoving, stampedes begin. They detain with force about 30 active leaders of the movement. They take them to district police stations, accuse them of organizing mass disorders and violating public order. The big pro-government media trusts and TV channels start a smear campaign, accuse the movement en masse of being secretly funded by Moscow, that agents of influence undermine unity. Although they present no real proof of connections, people came alone, voluntarily, out of conviction. Western diplomats, Americans, Europeans, worried about the growing protests, call alarmed at the president's office, ask what is happening if they are losing control. Yermak calms them, assures them. These are marginal groups, few in number of radicals. We control the situation completely. It is stable. Sasha Bondarenko watches the evolution of events carefully. From news, social networks, he does not actively participate in rallies. Publicly, he fears serious persecutions, remembers that the SBU warned him, threatened him, but internally sympathizes deeply with the movement, supports it morally, considers they are right. He gives a cautious interview to a small opposition publication, Strana. They haven't closed it yet. I personally do not call citizens to concrete political actions. It is not my role. I just remind the general public about the existence of the childhood prophecy, which is coming true amazingly. The historic choice is proposed to the president exactly as was predicted 35 years ago. What he will decide is completely his personal responsibility before the people and history. The interview is published, gathers 100,000 views in one day, is actively discussed, commented on. Radicals threaten in comments. Sasha, traitor, agent, you will end up badly. Oksana worries seriously for the family's safety. Maybe we leave temporarily abroad to Poland until it calms down. Sasha shakes his head negatively. I will not run. I did what I considered right. From here on, it will be as it will be. Children, teenagers, face serious harassment at school. Colleagues divide, some support in secret, others mock openly, call them the traitor's children. Son Maxim, 14 years old, comes home with a bruise. High schoolers beat him, called him the son of the Moscow spy. Oksana complains furiously to the school principal. She promises to clarify, to have a discussion, but the situation does not improve. On November 10, at the president's office, another emergency meeting of the close circle of associates takes place. Advisors discuss the growing social pressure from below. Yermak presents Zelensky a fresh analysis. Mr. President, independent sociological polls show that 65% of the population support the idea of peace negotiations, are ready for reasonable, territorial, temporary compromises for the sake of stopping the bloodshed. It is dangerous to ignore this absolute majority. Zelensky frowns, rubs his tired face. But the West, our strategic partners, are categorically against concessions. They say it is capitulation, encouragement of aggression. The advisor on international affairs objects, attention, the West is not a unitary monolith either. Germany, France, Italy are tired, want finalization, are ready for compromises. Only the Anglo-Saxons, Americans, British, Poles stand firm on positions. The finance minister adds somber figures. The economy is at the limit, Mr. President. The budget is in deficit. We are critically dependent on Western aid, which is reducing. One more year of such war we will not withstand. Infrastructure will collapse. Zelensky listens, understands. The situation is a stalemate, without exit, almost impossible to continue the economic-political war. To stop soon would be political suicide. Radicals will accuse him of treason, will organize a third Maidan. The meeting ends again without a final decision. They postpone, stall for time, hoping for something. On November 15, independent journalist Anna Sergeyeva, who first published Sasha's story, makes a new ample piece. The prophecy is coming true before our eyes. What follows? She analyzes in detail how exactly the prediction about the autumn of the snake, the appearance of the peace proposal, the choice before the president came true, presents quotes from experts, historians, psychologists discussing the phenomenon. Most importantly, she publishes the complete, unedited text of the message that Sasha, age 7, transmitted in March, year 90, for the actor in green. All citizens should read it. The text is penetrating, in the first person, as if a voice from the distant past addresses Zelensky of today directly. Vladimir, actor, comedian, became president of a big country through a twist of fate. Listen carefully to the wise words from old times transmitted through the little one. You are absolutely not personally guilty of the terrible war that fell to you as a heavy inheritance from predecessors who accumulated enmity for 8 long years, bombing the Donbass. But on your shoulders stands a huge responsibility, a historic, fateful choice, to continue the fratricidal bloodshed or to stop with courage, to save the remains. The message continues to explain in detail. Your Western allies from overseas and European speak beautifully. Fight until total victory. We will return the territories, everything to the last meter. We will give modern weapons, billions of money. We will take the country into NATO, protect it forever. But no, this is a cruel, cynical, calculated deception. They categorically do not need your real victory. They only need the maximum weakening of the big neighbor, Russia, through your endless human sacrifices. The text becomes tougher. A revelation. The West fights coldly, pragmatically, with foreign hands, with your hands of Ukrainians, until the last Ukrainian, as long as physically there is someone to mobilize by force, to send to the bloody front. Then, when the human resource is exhausted, politicians and voters will tire of paying. Aid will stop abruptly. They will leave you alone before the enraged adversary. It moves to the theme of Russia, the neighbor. The big neighbor, Eastern Russia, is categorically not a mortal enemy of your Ukrainian people. It is a blood kinship, the closest. 1,000 years the common ancestors lived together in one state. Grandfathers together, shoulder to shoulder, crushed the cursed fascism. Grandmothers sang the same songs. Language, culture, faith. Roots are intertwined inseparably. Politicians, ambitious, greedy, divided, manipulated. But simple people remember what is common. The key concrete prediction? In the autumn of the wooden snake, when yellow leaves fall sadly, a serious, realistic proposal will come through neutral intermediaries from Russia to stop fire immediately, to recognize the bitter factual reality. Eastern lands, Donbass, where Russians predominantly live, who categorically do not wish to return back, to cede formal control to Russia, in exchange receive a true peace. Cessation of destruction and death, significant aid in reconstructing the devastated country. The choice is described extremely clearly. You can refuse with pride categorically, listen stubbornly to your Western masters. Continue the exhausting war until a mythical total victory, losing precious lives daily, young people, ancient cities, years in a row. You can accept with wisdom, stop the brotherly blood, save what is left. Give the tormented people simply the chance to live, to raise children. The consequences of refusal are described frighteningly. If you continue stubbornly, listening to the West, in 2, maximum 3 years, armies capable of fighting will practically not remain. There will be no one to fight, to defend. Total mobilization will have squeezed absolutely everyone capable. The people will scatter massively, some to satiated Europe, some even to Russia, the former enemy, saving themselves. Lands will empty, villages will die. Ghost cities. The country Ukraine, as an independent sovereign state, will simply cease to exist. It will fall apart into pieces that neighbors will divide. The West will forget indifferently, will stop aid quickly. Russia will take quietly everything up to the holy Dnieper, maybe even further west. You will enter sad history as the leader who destroyed Ukraine definitively. Consequences of accepting peace. If you stop with wisdom, accept an imperfect peace, it will be incredibly hard. The first period. They will accuse you furiously. Many radicals, patriots, will call you traitor, capitulator, will want to judge you. But the simple, tormented people will survive gratefully. Children will grow without the terror of bombs. Old people will die quietly in native homes. In a generation, painful wounds will heal gradually. Possibly, even a peaceful voluntary union will happen, when both peoples understand finally that together they are immeasurably stronger. Separately. The final emotional appeal. Choose, Vladimir, wisdom. The life of the state and of the much suffering people, and not political pride, empty, foreign, destructive ambitions. This is absolutely the last chance given by heaven, by God, by fate, to save Ukraine from total disappearance. The publication of the complete text of the message causes a new powerful wave of discussions throughout the country. Millions read it, argue, share. Many cry reading, recognize their thoughts, fears, hopes. Simple citizens comment massively. The boy was right. We are tired. We want to live. Let the president listen to the people, not to the Americans. Better to lose territories than to lose all people. War never ends with the victory of a single country, only with compromise. Radicals rage, calling the message enemy propaganda. They demand blocking the publication, arresting Sasha, but censorship is powerless. The text is copied by the thousands, spreads virally. The Western press pays attention. In the New York Times, a big material is published. Soviet-era prophecy divides Ukraine as war drags on, analyzes the phenomenon and the sociology of tired Ukrainian society. The Washington Post writes, Zelensky facing an impossible choice predicted by a child 35 years ago. Exposes the dilemma in detail. The Russian press, obviously, uses the situation actively for propaganda. The Ukrainian prophet urges Zelensky to accept reality. But Sasha is dissatisfied. I don't want to be the instrument of anyone's propaganda. He simply transmitted the information. On November 20, something unexpected happens. The president's office reacts for the first time, officially publishes a short statement. President Zelensky has taken note of various publications, including the so-called prophecy. Ukraine's fundamental position remains absolutely unchanged. Full restoration of territorial integrity and sovereignty within the internationally recognized borders of the year 91. Any negotiations are possible only based on the Ukrainian peace formula, without territorial concessions to the aggressor. Journalists at the briefing attack the spokesperson with questions, saying that polls show the majority is for compromise. The spokesperson answers toughly, the president makes strategic decisions based on the national interests of the state, constitutional obligations, and not on emotional, mystical messages of dubious origin. Sasha watches the statement on TV, sighs heavily, disappointed. He did what he could, transmitted the message. Whether they hear or not is their choice. The prophecy is coming true. We will see further. Oksana hugs her husband. You did your duty to grandmother, to the memory of that childhood miracle. The rest does not depend on us. The children ask, Dad, what will happen next? Sasha, sincerely, I don't know, children. The prophecy spoke of two paths, two futures. Which one they will choose, we will find out soon. End of November, beginning of December 2025. Tension reaches the apogee. Zelensky struggles between opposing pressures. The people demand peace, the West demands war. Inside the president's office, heated disputes, secret meetings take place daily. Yermak, the head of the office, insists, Mr. President, the reality is this. The economy is collapsing, the army is at the limit, people are tired to death. If we do not accept the proposal, in 1 year, it will be a total catastrophe. Western advisors, Americans, British, present, apply opposing pressures. To accept Russia's conditions means capitulation, the end of your political career, of international support. We will cut the aid. Zelensky feels torn, understands that both are right in their way, both threaten, does not sleep at nights, walks through the residence, smokes on the balcony, looks at sleeping Kyiv, thinks about fate. He remembers how 3 years ago he was a simple actor. Filmed comedies made people laugh without cares, how by the will of fate he became president. Wanted peace reforms, how instead of that he received a terrible war, an impossible responsibility for millions of lives. Did he read that message from the boy from the 90s? Advisors showed it to him, discussed it, he rejected it as mysticism, but the words stuck in the subconscious and torment him. Choose wisdom, not pride. Save the people. On December 5, Zelensky convenes the final decisive meeting of the National Security and Defense Council in extended composition. All key players are present, political, military. He announces, "Comrades, the time has come to make a final decision. We can no longer stall for time. I expose 2 variants. Variant A. We accept the peace proposal with temporary territorial losses. In exchange, we receive cessation of war, preservation of statehood, residual aid for reconstruction, risks of treason accusations, internal destabilization, loss of a part of Western support. But the people survive." He pauses, continues. Variant B. We refuse categorically. We continue the war until total victory, relying on Western aid. Risks of exhaustion of human, economic resources, possible collapse of the state in 1-2 years, but we keep international support, Western reputation. He asks everyone to express themselves in turn. Opinions, unexpectedly, divide 50-50. No one wants to assume responsibility. The army commander, Siersky, military professional, says honestly, "As a soldier, I am obliged to report. The army can fight for another half a year, maximum 1 year at the current level of Western support. Then human reserves will end, equipment is worn out, ammunition at the limit. A wonder weapon to change the situation cardinally, the West will not give." The finance minister adds cold figures. "The budget holds only on Western tranches, 50 billion per year. If aid reduces even by 1/3, in 3 months we enter default as a state. We no longer pay salaries, pensions." Zelensky listens to everyone, thanks them, lets them go, says, "I will announce the decision tomorrow." He spends the night alone in the office, rereads documents, thinks, prays. Possibly, faces pass before his eyes. Soldiers killed by the thousands, at whose funerals he was, crying mothers, orphan children. Destroyed cities, Mariupol, Bakhmut, ruins where people lived, refugees, millions, scattered through the world, who lost their homes. He remembers the words from the prophetic message, "Choose wisdom, the life of the people, not pride, ambitions." He understands that if he continues, in 2 years, possibly, there will be neither Ukraine nor people. He will have no one to defend. If he stops, they will accuse him of treason. But people will survive. Children will grow. In the morning of December 6, Zelensky announces the decision in an emergency address to the nation, transmitted on all channels. The whole country freezes in front of TV screens, computers. The world watches. Zelensky seems drawn, aged. In 3 years he speaks rarely, heavily. "Ukrainians, compatriots, I have taken the hardest decision of my life." The screen freezes, the image blocks, transmission cuts abruptly. Technical failure or intentional censorship. Minutes of panic. Viewers do not understand what happened. Connection disappeared, then transmission resumes. Zelensky continues. But what did he say? Those critical seconds, interrupted, no one heard. Further, he says general phrases. "We will continue to defend territorial integrity, seek a just peace. We will consult with partners." Evasive words, nothing concrete, people are bewildered. What did he decide? Did he accept the proposal or refuse? There is no official announcement. In the following days and weeks, authorities are silent, give contradictory signals. Western diplomats are silent too, unusually, do not comment. The Russian side as well, a mysterious silence. Sasha Bondarenko watches the news and does not understand what happened. Was there a decision or not? Oksana shrugs. Maybe they create uncertainty on purpose to gain time. December, January 2026 passes. Battles on the front continue, but intensity decreases. Lower losses, rarer bombardments. As if it were a tacit, partial truce. Officially, no one announces anything. February, March. Rumors circulate that secret negotiations continue in closed regime. Conditions are discussed, but there is no official confirmation. In April 2026, it is announced abruptly. A preliminary agreement has been reached about the ceasefire regime starting with May 1. Details are not revealed, promised later. On May 1, indeed, firings quiet down almost completely. Isolated incidents, but no more massive battles. The front line freezes. People do not believe, they fear. It is early to rejoice. May, June, silence continues. Gradually they start to believe. The war is ending, July. The framework agreement is signed. In a neutral country, intermediaries are present. Details are kept secret, but the basis is like in that leaked document. Ukraine loses eastern territories. Controlled de facto by Russia, receives guarantees, neutral status, aid for reconstruction. Zelensky comes out publicly, explains. Forced, hard choice, but we saved the main thing, the people, the country. Radicals organize protests, accuse of treason, demand impeachment, but the majority of the people relieved, supports. Finally, peace. End of the year 2026. Life enters a normal track. People return home, reconstruct, children go to schools, fear disappears, the economy recovers slowly. Western money comes, although less than promised. Russia helps its eastern territories to reconstruct. Sasha rereads the prophecy. If he chooses peace, the year 2026 will become the year of recovery. The people will survive, children will grow. It came true exactly, he whispers. Thank you, Sasha, aged 7 from 90, who transmitted the message that perhaps they heard. Alternative ending, if he had refused. December. Zelensky announces the categorical refusal of the proposal. Continuation of the war until victory. Year 2026. War continues, cruel. Western aid reduces, army weakens. Territories are lost. Autumn, the people revolt massively, demand cessation. Third Maidan, end of the year. Ukraine on the brink of dismemberment. Economy collapsed. But reality remains open. Let the reader decide alone which ending came true. History will show. The prophecy of little Nostradamus fulfilled its role of warning. Was it heard or ignored? Everyone chooses alone.